So the most available would be your Ziploc. This is pretty handy when it comes to, packing small things, underwear, socks, but make sure not to overload it because this seal right here, I don't know if you see the seal, it's prone to ripping open, which I've had a lot. And then you have this upper zip lock that can bust open if it's, if it's too overloaded with shit. Just be careful of that. These are really handy though for socks and underwear and small electronics. I mean, even Band-Aids, medical equipment. It helps keep it dry, but for this experiment, we're gonna be using almost a full day's change, I guess you would say. You got your socks, your 2 pairs of socks, green t-shirt just for, it's what I had lying around, pants, and then your layer when it gets cold. Definitely don't want that getting wet. You definitely don't want to get this getting wet. So how we're gonna prevent that is using, we'll have to use hefty bags. Yes, hefty bags. And I like to use the ones without the drawstring. These are amazing. I use these for a lot of waterproofing, especially in the field for ruck races. Putting your clothes, everything. You can put everything in here, really, if you stack it neatly and kind of divide it. It still stays pretty, I guess, together, but they're very hard to rip open. The back, really hard to rip open. They store a lot, and you can get a lot of air out of them, too. You can tie them up pretty easily. They keep the rain out. They keep the wet out, so I'm going to pack this up real quick and then show you how well I can stuff this in that. And what I mean by dividing everything so that it's easily attainable, or that you can get to easy, it doesn't get all jumbled up, especially in the dark when you just have a little tiny headlamp or if you're in a military course, you only have a tiny red lens, and so you kind of guessing what you're holding. What I always do is I put pants bottom, shirt on top, socks either to the side, up top. I have to put them up top, around, by the pants. And this is really small compared to what I would pack, but I keep my undergarments separated and not in between, because if I need a fresh pair of socks, I want them immediately. You know what I mean? I hate that feeling. And then for this outer layer, when I'm bedding down, I like to get into this first. But sometimes people want it separated because they gotta change first before they get into their cold weather stuff. You're running all day, you're gonna get cold, especially when your body starts to cool down. So what I like to do is either drape it over my stuff to kind of keep it warm and protected. Because again, you don't want this getting wet, but you definitely don't want that getting wet. So I usually put it on top. So there you go. It's packed, okay? And then I'm gonna seal it up and cinch it down, kind of. And I'll show you how that works. These bags, make sure to push everything in one corner, right here. It's easier to cinch. Your stuff can still get jumbled up, but I can kind of feel where my pants are in the bottom here. Fleece at the top. And that's kind of how I put it in there. Was I just kind of stuffed it. And then you can put your water source behind this. Definitely make sure your water source isn't gonna leak, but just goes in there. The whole method works. I've tried it. Just kind of pop a tiny hole either near the top. Now you're gonna ask, what am I gonna use to cover my bag? And if you don't have a rain fly, you probably think nothing, but you're not gonna guess what we're gonna use next. Another hefty bag. Yeah, and it's the one without the cinches, but I've never tried it with the cinched ones. If you don't talk about the one with the drawstring, so I'm not sure. You let me know. This is my bag basically covered up by a trash bag. It looks like homeless camouflage, doesn't it? It kind of looks like just like regular trash bag. But so what I did was I stuffed it into the top. I guess there's kind of like a frame. So there's like a small metal frame on this bag and a little crevice in between. I'm assuming that's probably to feed the frame through, but I used the parts where you can feed through on the sides, on the bottom, tie it around the bottom frame part into the top frame crevice. And essentially, I don't know if you can see that in there, inside of this little pocket. That is the makeshift rainfly with a hefty trash bag. It's an ingenious invention, I know.